Yo, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy, Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. We are finally here in the conference finals. You know what I'm saying? We finally made it to the conference finals. We got the Knicks and the Pacers, and we got the Thunder versus the Timberwolves for the right to get to the NBA Finals. But before that, I just wanted to personally say congratulations to all four of these teams. And I will say that Minnesota Fever, especially here with the Wolves, has taken over the state, and everybody's been on board with this. This is the second straight year that the Wolves have made the conference finals. And for the OKC Thunder, this is their first trip to the conference finals since, I think, 2012. So, huge achievements for both of these franchises. And then for the Knicks and the Pacers, this is the first time they've met in the conference finals since 2000. I was only 7 years old when those two teams met. And whenever the time the Knicks and the Pacers met up in the conference finals between the 90s and especially in 2000, it was a regular occurrence because those two teams hated each other. So, it was an historically great rivalry back then, and last year they didn't disappoint as the Pacers took the Knicks in 7 and beat them in 7 games in Madison Square Garden. But I'm going to talk to you about my prediction of this between these two teams. Now, in particular, when it comes to the Knicks and the Pacers, these are two teams that are kind of similar between each other, and the Knicks made a huge splash in the offseason by getting Karl-Anthony Towns and trading away Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo. And thus far, it's worked out. Now, the trade that happened made huge benefits for both teams. Now, for the Knicks' perspective, it has allowed Jalen Brunson to take control of the team and pretty much held the team in high regard, and it's basically shown up in clutch moments. This man has been playing fantastic basketball in these playoffs. But also Tyrese Haliburton too. Remember, there was a poll that came out towards the end of the season pretty much saying that Tyrese Haliburton was freaking overrated as a train, is slowing up traffic. They pretty much said that Tyrese Haliburton was freaking overrated. And ever since, he's been basically putting boosts to ass to everybody in these playoffs. It's been crazy. So, the thing is just that when you look at both of these teams, when you look at what's going on right now, these teams right now, they're basically balanced out, and there's a lot of noticeable strengths and weaknesses. Now, for the New York Knicks, I will tell you this: for the New York Knicks, the big weakness for them is that if Jalen Brunson has a bad game, everybody goes haywire, and everybody struggles. So it feels like when you look at this Knicks team, they should be better than what they are. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you have Karl-Anthony Towns, who can basically spread the floor, who's basically a versatile big that can bring your best center out of the paint and force you to guard out of the perimeter. You know what I'm saying? Now, Karl-Anthony Towns has showed up in this postseason too. He's made some big shots, and he's been a huge contributor down the stretch. Now, he's been battling a bad finger in these playoffs. So, some of it has to do with his struggles from shooting too as well. But the big noticeable X factor is going to be OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. Those guys have to show up in these playoffs for them to have a shot of winning this series against the Pacers. Because the Pacers right now, they're a sneaky balanced team, especially with Miles Turner, especially with Pascal Siakam, and then also with Tyrese Haliburton doing the things that he's been doing. These teams are pretty much well balanced out. So I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to a 7-game series. Now, I do got the Knicks beating the Pacers in 6, but I will not be surprised if the Indiana Pacers find a way to push us to Game 7 and do the same thing like they did last year and win Game 7 on the road. I will not be surprised if that happens. But I do have the Knicks beating them in 6. I just think that this is the Knicks' year, and I think that this time around, both their balances on both sides of the ball are going to be huge contributors to their playoff runs. And I think that the Knicks may be a tad bit better than the Pacers, a little bit, but I just think it's going to be a balanced out type series. Now, in the Western Conference Finals, this is going to be very, very interesting because both those teams are very much very talented and basically well coached. And more importantly, too, they're both deep. Now, the Timberwolves this year, it took the Timberwolves a lot to get them, to where they're at right now. Now, when they added Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo to the team, it took them a while for them to adjust to the team and adjust to their skill set. And when when they got to early March, they went 26-5, and more importantly, Julius Randle was coming back from injury, and he started playing better basketball. So I do think that it took the Wolves a while for them to get things figured out. Now, for the Thunder's perspective, they have been pretty much owning the league throughout the entire regular season, but they've had their struggles in the second round against the Denver Nuggets. Realistically, I think they should have swept the Denver Nuggets, but this is a team that still has some experience. But the Denver Nuggets went through a lot of injuries of their own, and they didn't have much of a bench to begin with, which contributed to the fact of why Nikola Jokic pretty much had to carry the entire load this entire playoffs. So I do think that the Oklahoma City Thunder can be beat, especially when it comes to playing their small ball type lineup, because the Timberwolves right now, they're big, they're versatile, and they can defend. And especially when Jaden McDaniels gets on the scoring prowess along with his defense, it turns this team to another level, because we already know what you can expect from Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. I mean, I know that the Thunder are going to put Chet Holmgren against Julius Randle. That's a mismatch right there in of itself. And I'll tell you this though too, SEJ, who should be this year's MVP, against Anthony Edwards, that's going to be a really, really intense matchup. Now, don't be surprised if I could see them putting Jaden McDaniels on SCJ, because Jaden McDaniels is a 6'8" type of wing forward who's long, active, and pretty much loves to defend the best player. And when he can provide you some offense, he becomes a two-way, mismatch nightmare for the opposition. Jalen Williams is the same way for the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's going to come down to which one of those X-Factor players is going to show up. Is Jaden McDaniels going to be the guy that was pretty much putting in the work against the Lakers and against the Warriors? We'll see about that. But I think that I do got the Timberwolves upsetting. And I think, and as I'm using the quotation upset, because it wouldn't be much of an upset if you really watch both of these teams. They pretty much mirror a lot of each other. Now, I do have the Timberwolves beating the Thunder in 6 games. I think that Minnesota right now, they're on a momentum high right now, and more importantly, here's the thing that scares me about these Wolves. When these Wolves lock in and focus, they can be unbeatable. But when they feel like they got this game under control and they feel like they got everything in hand, then they do dumb mistakes that leave you scratching your head. They take bad shots and let the opposition back into the game. Now, if that happens against the Thunder, they're going to pay the price for it, because the Thunder, one thing that's for certain, their defense forces turnovers, and more importantly, they will make you pay for your mistakes. So I think that the big factor in this series for Minnesota is the turnovers and the open court shooting. They have to hit their open shots. Must. And more importantly, they have to minimize their turnovers and dominate the rebounding area. Those are 3 critical factors I'm going to be looking at in this series. But I got the Timberwolves beating the Thunder in 6 games, and it's going to be the Knicks and the Wolves in the NBA Finals. Now, how great that's a matchup that's going to be. With that trade that happened in the offseason, and with the Knicks coming back to the Finals for the first time since 1999, looking for their first championship since '73, and the Timberwolves looking for their first championship in franchise history after getting rid of the nonsense of Glenn Taylor. Oh, man, it's going to be a lot of storylines with that. But this is why we play these games, so we're going to see what's going to happen. So I got the Thunder losing to the Wolves in 6, and I got the Knicks beating the Pacers in 6, and we got the Knicks and Wolves for the NBA championship. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you see in both of these conference finals? And on a side note, I do have a subscriber that wants me to do a video about Pat Riley. I'm going to do that video about that later on this week, so stay tuned for that. And with that, I'm out. Peace.